Hi guys, welcome to Table Talk. I'm Castle.
I'm Carol.
And today, of course, again, we have our guest, Calvin, with us.
It's good to be back.
As all of you know, he's our long-time guest, but I always like to reintroduce him again.
Sure. I love hearing about myself.
Why is he always here, right? Not once a month.
Oh, God.
But he is an emergency medicine doctor, and he's also the founder of a travel blog, a travel company called Monsoon Diaries. And yeah, would you like to say something?
Can't wait for my next trip. I'm leaving 3 days for the least visited countries in the world.
Right, so today, right, we are here to talk about a video that has went viral on the internet and has got a lot of people mad after a woman was arrested when she assaulted another woman and using racial slurs to come against her. So it all started when a white woman named Anna, I can't pronounce the last name, Ruchinsky, bumped into an Asian woman later identified as Michelle Tung in the D train in Brooklyn during the morning rush hour in December 11th. The reason why I'm pointing out their ethnicities is because this woman, she used a racial language against this Asian woman that actually that's the reason why the video went viral and got the people mad. And as we can see in the video, right, she was kind of ready for a fight and taking off her sunglasses and tying her hair up before taking her umbrella and keys out. Anna, the woman with the blonde hair, was seen physically and verbally assaulting Michelle, spitting at her and using her umbrella to hit her. Things were already fiery, and it went even more when she called the Asian lady the F word and the word chink. She even called a good Samaritan named Ayala, who was recording, and later did a citizen arrest Mohammed, referring to Muhammad Ada, who is one of the 9/11 hijackers. We can also hear Ayala screaming over the phone saying, "Your white privilege doesn't work here." We can see a lot of, ethnicities being called out here, like, your white privilege doesn't work here, you are Muhammad, referring to like a Muslim person, or like you're Cheng, talking about Chinese and like white people and Muslim people. What are your thoughts on this?
I think like we were talking about earlier before the show, like I was watching this video and I couldn't stop, but I was angry. I'm like, why am I feeding myself something that's so negative into my system? But why is it so addictive? I think as Asian living in New York, who rides subway on a constant, on a daily basis, you can definitely relate to that. In terms of the racial slurs, I have to say it's obviously very offensive, but I was trying to put myself in the Asian lady's shoes and just thinking about how I would respond to it. I don't really think there's a PC way of responding to someone who's being so racially and just so not PC towards you. Like how would you guys respond to that situation? I'm curious.
Actually, like after I watched the video, right, and then I'm like, oh, that's okay. Like you can see her being like stuck in the corner, Michelle. And then I rode the subway home yesterday. And I'm like, oh, it's actually pretty scary. Like it's just like you are not in control. But of course, we can see there's people helping her. But what about you, Calvin?
And I think the video, first and foremost, is a voyeuristic lens into New York City, and it's kind of pornographic in that it draws you in, but has nothing to do with you, and you can't help but see what happens next. I think as ugly as it is, it's also beautiful in terms of how different minority groups come together in support of another minority, even of a different race or ethnicity, in response to a white woman using her white privilege to assert herself. And when I say that, I mean exactly that. We live in a world where the majority of the population is still white, and therefore, by being part of the majority, you have this automatic sense of privilege of being part of a world where you have the majority on your side. But in the subway, what happened there, what you saw was a bunch of minorities finally working together to fight against this injustice that was perpetuated and started by someone that wasn't a minority, a white woman. And what I thought was fascinating was this intersectionality of racism, how different groups, the man who made the citizen's arrest is Dominican, and he experienced his version of racism. And of course, the woman that was attacked first, the Asian woman, she was, a victim of racism, and how they worked together. And then other people in the subway, was, on their side in trying to calm the situation and telling the woman that started this that she was wrong. So I think that's encouraging as well. That's what I got out of it.
Right. Let's get to the word chink and what does it mean generally and what does it mean to you personally. Like chink is a very offensive language used towards the Asians, just like how the N-word is used towards African American. But at first I thought chink comes from like ching chong, you know, when people like murk you like, hey, ching chong ling long, because they feel like when you speak Chinese they can't understand you, so you're like, oh, ching chong ling long, like just making fun of you.
Right.
But what does the word mean, chink, mean to you personally?
I think it probably means a lot more to Kevin than to us.
Yeah.
I think we've discussed in previous episodes about like racial related stuff. Chink for me, I know it's something bad, but does it really hit me in the heart and be like, oh my God, I want to kill you right now? Not really. Because like growing up, you know, you're not part of the minority. You feel okay with yourself, and then you got into the Western world and you are the minority, but you don't really feel that threatened by them calling you that name. I have to say, like one time I was in a I think Uber pool, and there were two white guys who were obviously very, very drunk. They got into the car, and I was talking to my friend in Chinese, and they obviously couldn't understand what I was talking about. So they're like, "Okay, you need to stop talking right now." I'm like, "Excuse me, am I bothering you?" Like, "Yeah, you're so loud. You speak English, or you shut up." And
what?
Like, and then I'm not a confrontational person. Honestly, I didn't know how to react to that. But at that moment, I'm just like, no, I'm not gonna stop talking. I'm gonna keep talking. And then he's like, no, you have to get off the car. I'm like, no, you get off the car. And then he started to like poke me. And then I'm just like, okay, if you want to do this race thing, then I'm gonna play back to you. So like, you better not touch me, or else I'm gonna kung fu you.
You're just making fun of yourself.
And then just like they were mad, but they also know that I'm kind of flipping the cart on them. So they're like, this is not. I guess this is not really working out for us. So they kind of quiet down a little bit.
Right.
And then I was just so angry. I can feel myself like shivering, and that I think that's like the one time I like, you know, and like first
encounter.
Yeah, of like racism that's so much in your face.
Right.
So until that point, I'm just like, chink, whatever. You can call me whatever name you want to call me. I don't really feel affected. But yeah, that experience kind of like changed my perception towards words and racism and like how it could impact you on a daily basis.
Yeah, but that's what I mean by white privilege. They're never going to live their entire life speaking English, and someone in the car is like, you go back to your European country, from a Native American, you know, because the last time I checked, white people didn't, discover America. It was the Native Americans that was here first, and they're not white, right? You're never going to have a white person someone tell that to a white person, go back to your country, or you better speak, Native American, here. Right? They're not. That's what I mean by privilege. They're not afraid of that, so they can use that to put on you, knowing they can get away with it.
Right.
And I'm glad that you fought back because you told them that that's not okay. But that's what it means to use the word chink. Is that word is designed to be derogatory, to assert their privilege over you, to saying like, I can call you all these names to make you feel like you don't belong here, and I belong here way more than you. So if you try anything, that you will lose. So this word is encapsulated all that power that they think they have over you. And it's the same thing as using the N-word if you're not black, right? They are able to the black community is able to reappropriate the N-word for their purposes in reclaiming.
Yeah, but I don't even do like, hey, chink, to my Chinese friends. Like I don't do that.
I think for us it would be too forced.
I think it's a little forced. I think our generation is different. I think the N-word also is different to black people. What chink is for us. It's different. It's different manifestations, and it may be after a few generations when we, become more mainstream with it, and maybe there's a redefinition of chink within our communities that will be used for something positive.
Yeah.
But as of right now, it's completely negative. It's along the same spectrum of the N-word in that you are trying to, use a word to assert your dominance over and your power over the other person in a way that's, dehumanizing.
Right. This reminds me of a video that I've watched. Of course, this kind of incidents is not the first time. It happens, I wouldn't say often or regularly, but it's not the first time. And I've watched a video in the past, and it was like this lady who was being, racially attacked by a man.
She's being racist.
He looks. I think he looks a little drunk or a little like not a little mentally ill. I can't judge, but I feel that way when I watched that video. But she was just recording him as she was getting attacked, and that man was like, "You're Chinese. Your eyes looks like you're Chinese. So get out of my country, you Chinese." And then the girl was like, "I'm white, dude. Like this is my country too." So I was like, "This is not the first time it's happening, but."
I'm not actually familiar with this video. I thought you were talking about someone else.
Oh no, that was another video, not this video. But it just gets me thinking, like, which is what we want to focus on today, with the prevalence, or like everybody can access to social media today. Everything good or bad, celebratory, or like when there's a chaos or like there's a fire, people take out their phones and record it and post it on social media. And this Anna lady, she is a lawyer. She's a registered lawyer back in 2004. And she knows that people are going to record her and it's going to go on social media, may be affecting her life or her career. Why does she still get racist with, she knows that it's going to go on social media and people are going to post it, and with like Asians in the subway, as we can see, and one of the most diverse city in the country, and she still say the word and she still attack.
Emotions,
like,
emotions are more powerful than logic. We're emotional creatures. That's the simple answer. I know that's not something's not right to do, but emotions will always win for most people. That's a very simple answer. Love, right? Why do people do stupid things when they're in love? Love is an emotional. We're all emotional creatures. You know, love is like a temporary form of insanity. You will do things that make no logical sense, you know, because you have a feeling. And if she was emotional,
and she was like being not threatened, but it's like the whole subway against her.
Yeah. No, I mean,
everybody's like, girl, lady, like.
And I'm not saying that
like,
she was emotional. The whole subway was also emotional. They saw this as an emotional threat. You know, it was not just her. It was everyone's emotions involved. When you have all emotions involved, this logic is out the window. You say whatever you're feeling. You know, no one's gonna have time to like. You know, if everyone like did yoga and took 3 deep breaths and meditated all the time, but we don't live in that society where we take 3 deep breaths. Especially not in New York City, where we have to learn how to take 3 deep breaths before we say and do anything stupid, right? That's a minority of us. You know, maybe she were like a yoga teacher or a Buddhist monk or meditative, you know, person, then maybe she wouldn't have acted like that. But that's like a minority of people. Most of us will just react in the moment.
Right, but to add on to that, I read that she's also going through a divorce. And before the show, I spoke with Calvin, and he said,
no, it's just everyone goes 70%. What was it? 75%. It's like 60 to 79% of people go to divorce. No. I think we like a majority of people.
Married people.
Yeah, married people to now. It's like the majority of people go through divorce. Does 60 to 79% of people in the subway throw umbrellas and keys at people because they're just pissed off because they're going through a divorce? Absolutely not. Right. All right. Until I see 60 to 75% of people, that is not a justification to be a. And she was acting like a dick.
Okay. Anyways, it's fine.
We can say chink, but.
Just kidding. What are your thoughts, Carol?
I don't know. I don't think she was very smart to start with, right?
She's a lawyer, you know what I'm saying? Like you need to. You're a lawyer.
I think like academically she might be doing really well, but like her EQ is obviously not there. If you are,
and like, again, it's not her first time doing this.
Yeah, it's not her first rodeo. She has done this before.
I'm pretty sure she's done it before, and she was. Able to get away with it.
She got charged before for assault, for pepper spraying some dude randomly in the subway.
Right, so she obviously has her issues, and I guess the consequence was never big enough for her to stop doing whatever she liked to do. In this case, like, you know, taking out her anger on random people in the subway or the street. So I don't think she really thinks that much about social media like we do on a daily basis. I think like now when I do things, I'm like, oh, am I gonna get recorded? Is it gonna go viral? I'm not sure if everyone has that mindset. So I think for her, just like she's got her issue and she just doesn't really know how to control it.
And she got let go last time with a slap on the wrist. So that's privilege, right? To like know that you can get away with it because last time she pepper sprayed somebody. That's assault. All right. That's assault. You come to the ER after getting pepper sprayed in the eyes because you pepper sprayed in the eyes because you could have eye damage, right? That's what we check for, and that's assault. You have eye problems in the rest of your life, and she got away with it, right? Like she got let go with a warning,
right?
So that's privilege, and she feels she could do this again.
And if you look at the video, she's like, you know, taking off her watch. Oh, I don't know if she did, but she's like tying off her hair.
She took off her glasses and then tied her hair, and then took off her gloves.
Yeah, there was definitely intent.
So I don't think she definitely was acting in the moment, but at the same time, I also feel like it's very
intentional.
Intentional. Right. So I guess that's the other reason why this video is so intriguing. It's just like, Wow,
but remember, it's 7:20 a.m. in the morning when this happened. So people in the video is like, just let us get to work, okay?
Right. But I don't know. I don't know if we want to find excuses for her. Like, I don't think we need to. And
we judge everybody by their actions. We only judge ourselves by our intentions.
Right. But like you said, right, this is a little intentional with like, tying her hair and like taking off her gloves. And I'm not sure if her saying using the C word, can we call it a C? No, just check, is intentional. But it's, again, this is a video that we see, but this reminds me of the time, I think in October this year, Brooklyn Beckham, David Beckham's son, he actually posted a post on his Instagram, which is deleted right now. He was, I think, just going around in Venice, Italy, and then he took two pictures of one Asian lady in like what looks like a supermarket, and then a few Asian like older ladies on the boat. Venice, they are very popular with the boat. And then he captioned it, "No place like Italy in it." INNIT, I think that's their "in it" British way of speaking. But this is like subtle, maybe you're intentional or you're just trying to be funny. But picturing Asian people in Italy, like
we've always been a caricature of modern society, Asians. Like you can always
why, huh?
Because it's politically incorrect now to attack. It's considered politically incorrect now to attack certain minority groups, but it's always been funny to make fun of Asians.
Okay.
All right, because we've always been the minority group that has been perceived to never fight back or to care.
Oh, like we are quiet and
we're quiet.
Nice.
We do keep to ourselves. We, generally have enough privilege, which is true. Like a lot of Asians do have privilege. There is a sense of Asian privilege in the United States that affords us the ability to be able to survive, some racist attacks. But I don't think that makes it okay, right? And part of the whole intersectionality move of Black and Asians working together, that was a thing of the past in the 60s. We're trying to bring that back now, but it's unfortunate when there are certain subgroups in certain communities where part of the Asian American community and part of the Black community thinks it's okay to, not support each other and attack each other or throw each other under the bus, which I disagree with because I think we should be working together. But it's unfortunate when it's human nature where we always, as a human being, not as myself, I'm not speaking for myself, but like, in general, as an emotion, we always want to get ahead, right? But in order to get ahead, somebody has to be thrown under the bus. Apparently, that's what we're raised to in a capitalist society, And I'm not against capitalism, but the whole idea is what we're brought up is if someone can only be one leader. There can only be a few executives, right? For you to get to that position, somebody else has to, trade places. And that the kind of mentality in this dog-eat-dog world is someone has to, be thrown under the bus. So the idea that for your race or for your ethnicity to progress in society, you have to, throw somebody else under the bus is a tactic that was created during apartheid in South Africa, right? They created the whites, the Indians, and the Blacks, right? And the Indians and Blacks always fought against each other who would try to get that privilege, and they always try to throw each other on the bus, right? Indians thought they were, better than the Blacks, so they would throw them on the bus to curry the favor of whites. And we see them in this country, the minority. Asians are, we're all very well educated and go to Ivy League school just like white people, right? So we try to be white, but as a result, we throw Black people under the bus by that, that struggle, which is not fair because the reason why we have so many rights in this country is because Black people fought for us in the 1960s and we stood by them. And white people decided to choose, let's make the Asians the model minority, right? When there are plenty of Asians, Southeast Asians, who are terrible at math and science, who struggle with, low-income communities, Southeast Asians and South Asians, right? And the East Asians like, oh, no, we're doing great, and then we just get lumped together. And as a result, we have all this interracial fighting when we shouldn't be having. So that's, I think, why, it's okay to make fun of Asians among a lot of minority groups because, look at them, they're successful when, that doesn't make it okay.
Just like bringing people down, right?
It's more expedient that way. To get ahead, you have to bring someone else down, and I think that's a human nature thing that is unfortunate.
Right. But I mean, the final question is, what would you guys do if you were unseen? Not like if you are the women, but if you are the one sitting down and close to two of these women, what would you do?
It's a really hard question, like I mentioned earlier. I was trying to picture myself in that situation.
Like you would be the hero, but until then you were put in that situation. It's like, oh my goodness, I better stay away.
Yeah, well, I'm never the one who starts a fight, but I guess if a fight was thrown at me, I guess I'll try to finish it. I mean, I'm pretty sure I have an umbrella in my bag that I can pull out.
But would you help the girl if you're like not the one getting bullied?
I think I would probably say something. I'm not sure how like physically helpful I'll be, but I think now I kind of know who I am and I know like what's right from wrongs, or at least I do know my standards. I think I will say something. I'm not sure if I'm gonna physically like jump in and fight that girl off, but yeah, I do think saying something makes a difference.
What about you?
I've been in those situations multiple times. Yeah,
Tell us
like
about
2 months ago, 3 months ago. I mean, like it all happens all the time.
Tell us one. I've never personally encountered this incidents before.
If you can't tell by now, I'm a proud American, proud New Yorker. I'm pretty liberal. It's part of being growing up in New York City. But like, I don't let racism stand. If you if you walk down the street, it happened. Like I was going to work, and this white guy comes up to me and was like, "Oh, ni hao, konnichiwa, and annyeonghaseyo." Said it all three at once, and I'm like, I speak English perfectly fine. I was born and raised in this building, so I don't understand anything you're saying other than you don't belong in this country.
Okay.
All right. I said, and then he got pissed.
Oh, really?
He's like, "I'm gonna punch you in the face right now." I was like, "You better be appreciative that I spoke to you." I was like, "No, I'm not entitled. You're not entitled to any of my respect because you automatically assume that I did not belong here, that I'm not an American, and my native tongue isn't English. My native tongue is English. I spoke English. I was born and raised in New York City, just like anyone else. In fact, I'm not sure if he was born in New York City because he was like 60 years old, and he came from anywhere, right?" But the thing is, like, he automatically assumed I didn't belong here. And I know he was trying to be polite, right? He was trying to do that racist love, like, I'm going to automatically assume you don't belong here. I'm going to be nice to you because that's the nice thing to do. But that's very derogatory and dehumanizing because that, to me, tells me that he doesn't see me as a human being, but somehow he's entitled to my like adoration and respect because he's I'm speaking what I assume is your language. So when I didn't give him the response that he wanted, then you realize he's not doing charity work. If you don't do charity work expecting like, "Oh my God, thank you so much," then you're naturally selfish. You should do charity work and say nice things without expecting anything in return. Right? But he did, and he wanted to punch me in the face. I was like, "Go ahead, punch me in the face." I showed him my scrums. I'm heading to work right now, so if you make me late by punching me in the face, that's a class 5 felony.
And then what'd he do?
He like pissed his pants.
And then
he just walked away. Right. He's like, it's like, "You Orientals should be more respectful." And I was like, "I'm not a rug." This happens all the time, and on the subway, if it was me, I'll be like, but I have male privilege, so I have a lot of male privilege. I'm 6'1", I have been in fights before. You could tell I have scars all over my like arms, from previous fights. Like, you don't want to, I'm alpha male. I don't want, I will assert my authority and I'll make my space known that this is not a space that you can, take advantage of, right? I have values that I believe in, and I will stand up for people who don't have that voice if they need that, So if I saw that in the subway, my answer is, to stand up for what I believe is right. I mean, I'm not going to try to start a fight. As a good fighter always tries to prevent it, right? But if it escalates like already into like a fist fight that, I see this happening, then yeah, you have to use force to, prevent them from hurting each other and, hurting other people.
Great. Yeah, thanks for sharing your thoughts. I just thought like if I'm in that situation, I would be like the superhero or things like that because but how two Asian men like stood in between and like tried to protect Michelle. And I think that's great, but I'm not sure if I'm there, I would say like, oh, I would like stop her, like protect her, like, be a armor or something, but I'm not sure in that situation I would do anything. But yeah, this is, like you said, it's like very ugly, but yet we see in this ugliness, people of minorities stand up for each other.
Yeah, this Dominican guy stood in her defense and recognized what the woman was doing was racist, and other Asians stood up for them. And then when she said the word chink, everyone else in the subway was like, "That's wrong." Yeah. There was no clapping. There was no like, "Ooh," that's dirty, like interested. It was people were like, "This is," You can bleep that out. So, this is screwed up. So I think it was great that the whole, community came together. And when he finally wrestled her to the ground for,
did a citizen arrest.
It wasn't like other people were trying to help him finally. And that's what they mean. Is like your white privilege is not going to work in a place like New York City. What scares me is in this age of Trump is would this fly in a place like Alabama or Mississippi or Montana, you know, when you don't have as many minorities on your side? That's what white privilege is. You live in a place, in a country where the majority, the numbers are on your side, right? Only in New York City where may not, that quote unquote, what I say, that white privilege may not work for you because the numbers may not work. But at the end of the day, it's still like the whole legal system and the education system, and I can go on the media and all that. It's still predominantly, you know, mostly white people.
I think this is obviously a very obvious case. Someone is being racist, whereas when people say ni hao towards you, right?
Yeah.
Like that happens to me
It's
all
like,
the time. And I do feel weird about it, but yeah, but I'm like, something's not really right here, but I don't really know what to say to you. Do I want to say ni hao back to you? No, I don't really feel like it.
What am I supposed to say back to them? Their Polish language or German language, where they came from?
Because when I first came here, people do that to me too, and I thought that, oh, maybe they are just being nice and like they see a pretty lady or like, you know, they're trying to speak your language. And my friend told me, it's like, no, that's very racist. And but I just felt I didn't feel offended. But after hanging out with my friends, and then after a long time, I've been here for 3 years, and I'm like, okay, maybe that's not cool. Because what if I'm not Chinese, I'm Japanese, you know?
Right,
exactly.
Right. Yeah. And I guess I started to feel a little offended, but I couldn't really make of like what my emotion was. But now you explain it. I guess
just say it back to them in bonjour, and they're like, "What are you talking about? I speak English." Look, no, you look Polish to me, or you look French to me. I don't know what the difference is anyway.
But that's not the point. You don't want to like people degrade you and then you degrade them back, right?
No, it's basically I say it in a nice way, and I was like, "Hey, look," and I have people at work who say like "ni hao," and I'm like, "Hey, dude, like I really like you. You're a good guy. You're better than this. How would you feel if I said, you know, like Guten Tag to you randomly?"
What language is that?
You know, he's like, "Why? It doesn't make any sense. I'm not German." He's like, "That's the point. I can't tell, right? Because you're white and you could be German, French, or thing, but I automatically assumed, and you don't think that's right. So what makes you think it's okay to say ni hao to me when I speak English perfectly fine, and you don't know if I'm Chinese, Japanese, Korean, or an Asian American, right? How do you think it's gonna make you feel?" You know, to be just automatically assumed to be this, right? You don't want that. And you say that nicely, and you see that.
Right, but on the other side, I'm just like, am I like not embracing my culture? Why do I feel difficult to say ni hao back to this person when I can definitely say that?
Because if it's not sincere, I'm not going to respond. If you're sincere in being friends with me, then sure. But
unless
if you're saying it as a...
Yeah, sincerity. Okay, if you're white and you're actually fluent in Mandarin and you want to practice and you ask for permission, then I'll be happy to say, this is awesome. You made the effort to care. You asked for permission. You automatically assumed. And finally, they're willing to make an effort. But the flip side is you don't have white privilege, right? You're at the mercy of being a minority in this country. Right? They can say whatever they want and get away with it. And they can, you can call them out and make them feel embarrassed. But they'll go back home and turn on the TV and see plenty of white people that look like them on TV and it feels like a superhero. Or go to the movies, right? Well, you don't have that. You're a little more, you came here, you know, wanting to belong. And for people to say those things, it sets you on a slippery slope where other people feel like they can do more things to you and get away with it. You know, one word to say ni hao to you and you don't speak back thinking that's wrong, then it becomes a touch, that poking thing that you mentioned. Then it becomes even worse. It's like, oh, because she's an Asian woman, she won't fight back if I do worse things. It's a slippery slope. You don't want to let that happen. And that's why you have to stop in the very front. It's like, you are not entitled and allowed to say any of that shit to me, you know?
So next time you know how to respond to a stranger, not to them, like a stranger.
Right, because if you don't say anything, then sometimes they take that as flirting. Oh, she didn't say anything, she must like it, you know? And then that could lead to really bad consequences later on. I'm mansplaining right now.
Got it.
But it gets me really angry that when people like give it, you know, and I'm not saying you're doing that, but like I hear other friends who's like, oh, they were just being friendly, they were just being nice. And I'm like, no, they weren't. You know, they were trying to see what they can get away with. Right, that's the essence of seeing where your privilege leads.
Yeah, I guess we have come to the end of...
Yeah, take one to know one. I'm a man. I'm a man. I know this about privilege.
And growing up in New York
poking the bear.
Yeah, but it looks like we have come to the end of our discussion, and Michelle Tung, the victim, actually told Eyewitness, ABC or something, saying that Anna needs to get help, like please get help.
Yeah.
And she is due back in court next year on January 22nd, and we'll see how that goes. So for all of you out there, if you're a New Yorker and you go on the subway every day and you have met some things like this, feel free to share with us and leave.
Bring an umbrella.
Bring an umbrella and like hit them back. But feel free to share in the comments below about your past experiences and what are your thoughts on this story and this video or this incident. So till next time, I'm Castle.
Oh, I'm Carol.
And I'm Calvin.
We'll see you next time. Have a great week. Bye.